Hello everyone, and welcome to my very first video. Today, I'd like to introduce to you a wonderful sports manga series titled Blue Lock. But before I get into that, I would just like to say that I had zero interest in sports or anything related to it whatsoever prior to reading this series. It was never really my thing, and I've had a mostly disgruntled relationship with it for much of my life. But after a friend of mine recommended the series to me, man, I have to say that my views towards sports, especially football, have been greatly changed. Whereas I once viewed sport as this overtly competitive and pretentious thing for those with physical talents, I've grown to respect and even appreciate the subject more, thanks to this particular manga series. Blue Lock is a series written by Muneyuki Kaneshiro and illustrated by Yusuke Nomura, being first serialized in 2018. As of recording, the series has a total of 152 chapters and counting. The story centers around the defeat of the Japanese national football team in the 2018 FIFA World Cup. We then come across the Japanese Football Association working out a plan to recover from such a huge loss. After a fiery speech from a pretty lady, they initiate a plan to create a state-of-the-art training facility named Blue Lock. The story's protagonist is a teenage football player named Yoichi Isagi. At the start of the story, Isagi and his high school team are participating in a match to allow them to enter the national leagues. However, due to Isagi's incompetency, he ultimately causes his team to lose the game, causing him to break into the tears with his morale in utter ruin. It was then Isagi received a letter inviting him to train in a certain facility. Upon arriving at the orientation hall on a certain date, Isagi and 299 other players are invited to train and compete against each other to become what their eccentric coach describes as the world's number one egoist striker. However, only one player can achieve this title, with the facility's losers being forever barred from the opportunity to enter Japan's national team. With 299 other players for him to overcome, will Yuichi Isagi triumph over them all and become the world's number one egoist striker? Wow, I must say, what an exciting story, and my god, does it deliver. Having read all the chapters to date, I must say that I have yet to read a single bad chapter. Now, Blue Lock is unlike any other sports series that I have seen before. Whereas series like Offside and Haikyuu, which I never finished by the way, generally focus on the way characters function and bond as a team, Blue Lock completely abandons those tried formulas and selfishly pits its characters against each other, producing wonderful interactions and tension amongst them all as they aim for a singular goal. This is most apparent in many matches of the series, where the primary cast, despite being in a team, have to constantly overcome or devour both their opponents and teammates to grow both skillfully and psychologically. As for the characters, I especially enjoy Nagi Seishiro and Meguro Bachira the most. Nagi, although apathetic and passive to the sport at first, grew to be such a spectacular character, most especially during matches, where he has this zen-like playstyle when it comes to passing and scoring goals. He is the typical silent but deadly player who is immensely talented at the game, thanks to his incredible way of employing the football technique known as trapping. If I were to give Nagi a title that best describes him, it would be the Silent Storm. Meanwhile, Bachira is the polar opposite of Nagi's personality. Whereas Nagi is silent and reserved, Bachira is very energetic and hyperactive, being always so eager to play soccer. Much like his personality, Bachira's playstyle revolves around a technique known as dribbling. Like its counterpart in basketball, dribbling is a skill that requires mastery of one's footwork to control the ball. Bachira is a master at this technique, often using this to confuse his opponents by moving his feet at fast speeds and slipping past them. Bachira is overall a wild and very passionate force that uplifts the joy of watching the playing field, and I would love for him to succeed. Now, when discussing the characters, it would be important for me to also mention the main character himself, Yoichi Isagi. To be frank, I think that Isagi is simply a generic shonen character. Although the majority of the perspectives of the story revolve around Isagi and his insights, he comes off to me as this bland self-insert who only stands out by being too normal, as pointed out insultingly by one of the characters in the series. By all means, he's an enjoyable character that I wouldn't mind rooting out for during matches. However, he appears too lackluster and often patched up by the author with heroic second wind moments, often coming off as rather cheap and unimpressive to me when looked at thoroughly. And honestly, I sometimes even mistake Isagi for his largest rival, Itoshi Rin, had it not been for Rin's eyelashes. Now the artwork is one of the best qualities of this series. Being reminiscent of the famous shonen manga, Bleach, Yusuke Nomura's art is majestically good and simply breathtaking. The illustrator is skilled in his style of paneling sequences and guiding the reader's eye through the fluidity of the exhilarating action scenes in the many matches of the series. The actions of the characters when performing their special techniques or scoring goals are so satisfying to watch, thanks to both detailed artworks and base tension built up by earlier incidents. I especially like Nomura's usage of screen tone as it emphasizes the passion and intensity of characters as they perform one extraordinary feat to the other. Another fantastic aspect of the artwork is the way the characters' aura is depicted. The usage of screen tone to emphasize this visual element is quite impressive and gets me into the zone of their experience, meaning that I feel more tightly immersed in their current predicaments. The artist knows how to capture the pressure of football matches through his dense artwork matching alongside crucial, evocative dialogue. I sometimes even feel as if I, myself, are a character in the story, playing alongside this cast of exciting and enjoyable characters thanks to how well the artwork and story immerse you into the whole thing. Overall, I would highly recommend this series to anyone interested in both anime and manga, whether they enjoy sports or not. This series is flat out incredible, and I honestly cannot wait for the anime adaptation that will be coming out next year, which I believe will coincide with the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Ooh, there's a lot to look forward to next year, you guys. Also, I'd like to point out that Hajime Isayama, the creator of Attack on Titan, recommended his fans to read this series, so if you're a fan of AOT, I highly suggest that you give this series a shot. It's going to be incredibly worth it. I give this series a 9 out of 10. It's simply a must-read for any weeb out there. Also, I plan making a video discussing and breaking down the series trailer sometime next week, so do give me a like and subscribe if you're interested in hearing my thoughts about this. Now wait, before you go, I have something for you all to watch at the end. It's a short clip that I believe some of you may have already seen, but I chose to play it here anyway, just to support this awesome series, guys. Come on, let's give this series some love. That's all I got for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and have a happy new year.
さあ出せ。これが俺の思い描いたフィールドの未来だ。ブルーロック